Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Spider fans. Welcome to episode 10 of Spider Sound Off. I'm Porter.
And this is Tom. Well, welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about the women's team. We got to see a practice. We also are going to talk about just some other things going around the program. There's been some press releases in the last week or so from Richmond. So we'll talk about that. Before, though, we just finished the Scrocky episode. And we had Labor Day, so it's been a minute since we've been here, Porter.
It has.
Tell us about some of the feedback you've heard lately.
I think people are genuinely appreciate the Scrocky episode. I've heard comments like he was a hard guest to top. It's great hearing his voice. We'd like to just thank Mike again for coming on, being our first ever guest on Spider Sound Off. It was special having him, and it was special hearing that story that we all kind of knew the result, but we didn't know the behind-the-scenes story, so I really appreciate him doing that.
And, Porter, I know you like to think that every ex-player that's ever played for the Spiders listens to this podcast. I'm guessing there's one or two. But anyway, we'd love to get more former players on this podcast. So anybody listening who's got some stories to tell, just reach out to us. It would be great. Before we get into the ladies episode, we're going to talk about some news. Mentioned we had a little break for Labor Day. Porter and I, along with our friend D. Hall and our wives, went to Virginia Beach to see a concert of one of the greatest bands of the 80s, Def Leppard. And I thought, just to surprise Porter, I'm going to do my top 5 songs from the Def Leppard concert.
Okay.
And which player from our men's team resembles that song. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Hit me.
Number 5, Let It Go. And no, this is not about a snowman. This is from Def Leppard's High and Dry album from the early 80s. And the player I think of Let It Go is Will Johnson.
Okay.
So he's got to be shooting. So I'm looking for 8 to 10 shots a game. It's ready for the taking, as the song says. So Will Johnson, Let It Go. Number 4, Rock, Rock Till You Drop. That was the opener from the concert. And I think of Mikkel Tyne. Like, he is going to get lots of minutes. So he's got to keep rocking and rolling. Hopefully, and those shots will be dropping.
He's got to dish the rock.
And number 3, I think this is one of Porter's favorite songs, Rocket. And I think of AJ Lopez and the lyric, "We are gonna fly." So he's going to bring a lot of speed to our team. I think we'll see him leading and finishing a lot of fast breaks. So AJ Lopez, Rocket.
Good one.
Number 2, one of my favorite Def Leppard songs, Animal. And I'm going a little turn here and saying Colin Tanner, because he needs to be an animal this season. We're going to need him. He needs to be that guy who's diving on the floor. He's got to feel it in his blood, as the song says, and be an animal to really contribute in a high level for our team.
I would have gone Jalen Robinson on that one, because I think Jalen is an animal, and he's going to surprise a lot of people this year.
No, I could see that. And my number 1 song from the concert is Rock of Ages. And I'll go with our senior Mike Walls. So I think we all know he's kind of a rock physically, a big, strong guy.
And he's got the age.
He's got the power. He's got the glory, as the song says.
Senior
and
year.
And he's old. So anyway, that's my top 5. I think we both hope that this season brings a lot of hysteria and a little less pyromania.
Yes.
But anyway, we got to see Def Leppard over the weekend.
Nowhere in our episode notes was this, folks. So this is right. This is Tom's love for Def Leppard coming out.
Okay, so back to the men's team. One of the names I didn't mention was Daughtry, our transfer.
Yes.
And we know some news came out about his medical status a couple weeks ago. Porter, do you regret your hot take on Daughtry being in the starting 5 on game 1, given the medical news we learned?
I do not. When we watched practice, he was limited that day. We didn't want to break unreleased medical news, so we didn't do that. I used the film of his playing days from last year to make my assessment. I still stand by the assessment that a healthy Jaden Daughtry would be our starter at the 4. We're just hoping that, we get to see him on a court sooner rather than later, because we know, he's an important part of what we're doing here.
Now, to what you said, we knew about the medical status. We didn't, we're kind of told not to talk about it back when we did that episode. So we didn't know about it, and you still said he would start game 1. So you were taking a little bet there that it would I guess the medical news would come and go,
Yes.
and he'd be, right now ready to go on the team.
Yeah, so I may lose that bet, but I still think that you're wrong about AP being the starter at the 4. If not Daughtry, I'm going to go with Jalen Robinson as my starter at the 4. We did hear that Daughtry has been up to the Mayo Clinic. He's meeting with the best folks in the world that could help him, inform him about the medical outlook. And when he's ready to release those results, he will. We as Spider fans can only say we're really hoping to see him in a uniform in the Robins Center sooner rather than later. But obviously his health comes first.
Okay, other news really just came out. I'll be short on this one, but the Robins Center is getting a bit of an upgrade.
Nice.
So they're going to be redoing the sound and the screen. So it's really the first big investment since they opened that, I think, over 10 years ago.
We'll try to get our eyes on that too before the season starts, so we can give you guys a quick report of what we see.
And I think I can tell you, being a season ticket holder for a while now, there are certain parts in the arena where it was deafening loud and other parts where you couldn't hear. So I think that upgrade is going to be fantastic. And while the boards in each corner looked great, there are times where they weren't working. And so I think upgrading them to the latest technology is going to be great for all your fans. And then finally, big news, we'll talk a little bit about this in more detail, is that the Spiders had a big hire in their athletic department.
Yeah, Jim Merritt.
Yeah, so he's been hired as an associate athletic director, starts, I think, in the next week, and is going to be a big resource for us.
September 12th, I think, is his first day.
Okay. And we're going to do our best to kind of get him on the show. I think we've heard some feedback. It would be great to kind of hear about his role. I mean, the press release only says so much. I mean, it is just a press release. We don't know Jim here, but we know people who know Jim.
Yeah.
And we've heard just great things about Jim joining back to be a Spider full-time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's any resources we can get to the program are going to be good for the program. Jim is going to be a great resource for us. Everybody has genuinely said great things about what he brings to the table. I think anytime you add resources to the program, it's a good thing. It comes to building community. It comes to building excitement, building the resources necessary to compete at the highest level. And I see that as an expression of that. I think we're both hoping that we're going to see additional investments in and around the programs over into the future.
Yeah, I mean, it is the new normal that we need to raise money to pay players. So it's awesome that we're dedicating resources to do that. I would say raising more money is just table stakes now. So we've got Jim to come in here, and it sounds like that's going to be his number one directive, is to help raise money so we can pay players both for the men's and women's basketball team. So we're at the table. We're going to be competitive in that pay element. I do hope in the future we can go from table stakes to be innovators. My own personal thoughts. Watching the evolution of the NCAA, I think there's got to be even more changes with the organization structure. We should be moving to where the coach is the CEO of the team. His assistant coaches coach, and he has a GM that has a scouting department. And I think, as an example, and this is not all the way there, I love what I've seen the Bonnies do. They hired Wojciechowski, who is an alumni, who was an ESPN personality. I saw a podcast with him and Mark Schmidt, their coach, talking about the changes, and Coach Schmidt said he doesn't even know what his players are getting paid.
Oh, okay.
He knows some kind of directional who are the big paid players versus the non-big paid players. But Wojciechowski, he manages all of that. He also manages international scouting, where they've made some big inroads. And so having that kind of GM resource, who's in many ways working for the coach, but can dedicate his time and his staff's time to the development of the program. And I think it's, we're a basketball school, so I think there is a challenge of it somewhat gets back to resources. You need the money to pay a GM. So we got to raise capital first. But I do think having a GM that's really focused on the pay for players side and get that out of coaching's hands and let the coaches coach. And that doesn't mean the coach doesn't have input. Again, I think the coach is a CEO. So they're kind of driving what they're looking for. But they don't need to be day-to-day out there looking for the next recruit. They can have a GM whose primary responsibility is that, and also the negotiation with players' agents to help manage that whole new process we have.
And I think so it's interesting because general manager we actually thought about doing a full episode on it at some point in time. What does it mean to the program? What role does that general manager have? And certainly, I think it's an investment Richmond should look at, probably is looking at. One thing I would like to see us do, Wake Forest 2 weeks ago announced that they've hired Steve Weinman, who's a seasoned NBA front office executive, to lead data strategy, scouting, and performance analysis. So he's the senior associate athletics director for analytics. And so he's going to be the general manager for both programs, but he's also going to help heavily institutionalize analytics as a strategy that Wake Forest employs. So it's this merger of, kind of making a sports analytics program as a major and instituting or adopting practices that help the men's and women's basketball teams. And I say that having spent 30 years working in data analytics technologies. So I worked for Tableau, I worked for Alteryx, I've worked for some of the largest data analytics firms out there. And almost every functional area of every industry is instituting analytics at an enterprise scale. And I personally would love to see the basketball programs do that.
Anyway, that's part of the news before we dive into the women's practice we saw. I think you've all seen, or most of you have seen, that the out-of-conference schedules are out. And there's a lot of debate and question on it. I think we will kind of focus on that in a future episode. We're waiting for the A10 schedule to come out. I mean, we know who we're playing, but we'd like to see the full schedule of dates before we can really talk about how do we think the team's going to do as you go throughout the season. New in the NCAA this year, these are some new rules that were passed in the last year, is to allow open scrimmages. I think the general intent, or how this happened, is schools lobbying the NCAA saying, hey, there's another money maker if you have scrimmages, whether you're putting them on TV or you're having fans pay for tickets. And everyone's looking to generate revenue. So when the schedule came out, it listed JMU on October 25th as a home scrimmage. So I have more details to come out, but that's exciting to get to play JMU again, even if it's just a scrimmage.
Yeah, my Northern Virginia connections also say there may be a closed scrimmage for the men against Mount St. Mary's sometime in October that won't be open to the public, but that would be another chance for the kids to get ready for the season.
Well, Porter, we got to see the women's team practice for the first time. That was pretty exciting. Thanks to Keelan for setting that up. What were your initial impressions?
Yeah, so for me, it was the first time meeting Coach Roussel, and that was kind of special. If I could just take a minute, we are so fortunate to have this guy as our head coach. He will go down as one of the great hires under the Hart administration of the athletic department. So I was doing a little research on him to get ready for this thing. We're going to have a whole separate episode later in the season about Roussel and how important it is that we, as a university community, support him and his coaching staff. But if you look at what he's done over his career, the first year, so he starts at University of Chicago, dominates there. Then he goes to Bucknell, had a losing record his first season at Bucknell, did not have a losing record again at Bucknell. Comes to Richmond, by one game, he's under 500, and then has never had a losing record. So he's coached 21 seasons. 19 of those seasons he's had a winning record, with the only 2 seasons being the first year he stepped onto the campus at Bucknell and the first year he stepped on the campus here.
He's got a kind of a Beeline track record, like when we had Beeline come in as the men's coach.
He's got a Beeline track record. He's definitely really, really well regarded throughout the coaching community. Probably should have been the Virginia State Coach of the Year. I didn't want to put that in a soundbite for the George Mason team. We play them usually twice a year, and their coach is fantastic as well. So this guy is a winner. He knows what he's doing. He hires great coaches. We got to meet the coaching staff. They're all really, really squared away. We're just very, very fortunate to have Aaron Roussel is the head of our program. And I think we as fans, what we can do, because there's a lot of people obviously that have to nurture and support something when you've got it, we can just go out and support the team. That's the number one thing we can do.
What was impressive is that, we didn't have any time scheduled with Coach Roussel like we did when we met Coach Mooney. That meeting was kind of predetermined. So we were at the Weinstein Center. That's where they were practicing. Same place where some of us used to play on the carpet gym 30 years ago. That's been renovated. It's also where the Spider Brews are for basketball. If you haven't been to that, I encourage you to go. But we're kind of in that gym. Coach Roussel is meeting with the team when we get there. They've got a screen where they're going over something that we couldn't really see. It was far enough away, but we're sitting on the bleachers at the other end. And when the team is going through initial warm-ups, coach comes over and introduces himself. So it was just great to have a couple minutes with coach. Porter mentioned the magical prior year, and it was very interesting to just get you could see his facial reaction of how much last year meant to him, but also like every year is different. I don't think he's going into this year saying, well, we're definitely better than last year. Like last year was a magical year, kind of take it for what it is. And this year kind of, you got to start over, even though he's got, super talented players coming back. It's not a given we're going to do that again.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I'd say you pointed out right away some of the drills in the format were kind of interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they were, all on the same court, a lot of full court running in these drills, somewhat different drills, but we saw with Mooney's practice, kind of these teams were constantly moving up and down the court, similar speed, running with the ball is very important for this team. They did have a pure rebounding drill we saw.
Yeah.
Where it was kind of a drill where one of the coaches would intentionally kind of shoot a brick, and it might have been 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 or 4-on-4, and it was kind of box out. And all of these drills kept evolving. So it started with kind of get the rebound, and then it turned into kind of get the rebound. And now if you're on offense, try to shoot. If you're on defense, take it out. Then it turned into a full court simulation. It was very, very good to see, kind of seeing the ladies kind of fight with each other for the rebound, and the coaches giving immediate feedback where, when there was one round where the offense got 2 or 3 in a row rebounds, and hearing the coaches get on that defensive team they're the ones that start with position, and we're losing it. And a lot of that was just kind of which team was more aggressive than the other.
Yeah. No, they definitely, it was an intense practice. They worked hard. The girls came ready to practice, and it was really, really fun to watch, just the way that kind of they set things up on the lady side, and I definitely enjoyed it.
There was a lot of new things that we saw, and thankfully some things that repeated themselves from last year. I think first off is Rachel and what we saw from her at practice.
I don't know if she listened to the podcast episode 6 where we talked about the ladies team, where I called her the best 3-point shooter I think I've ever seen at Richmond, men or women's. But it was like she had, because she put on a show for us. I mean, I saw her take at least 8 3-pointers, and I can't remember one not going in.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw her miss.
Yeah.
Her shot was as good as ever. Rachel knows her role. Her role is to shoot threes. And there was one moment I mentioned to Porter while we were there that someone was guarding her. I don't remember who. It might have been Simon. It was kind of more of one of our wings, but someone was guarding her. Someone else missed the shot, and whoever was guarding Rachel crashed the boards. And there was, a big, bouncing rebound that Rachel's team got. Rachel's waiting at the 3-point line, wide open, gets the pass out and makes the 3. Like, Rachel knows that's what she's supposed to do. She doesn't need to be crashing the boards, trying to get a rebound. She has confidence in the rest of her team to have a chance at that offensive rebound, and she's ready to drain that 3 when that offensive rebound is made.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see a really good give and go game when she and Maggie get going, and she will crash the boards if necessary. But the thing about Rachel is, if you give her a foot, she's not only super confident, but she doesn't need a lot of space, and she's just got such a quick release that she is going to light up the Robins Center this year. It was just so much fun to watch. I can't explain like how incredibly talented she is to just be able to just boom, 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 every single shot just going down. It's just quick confidence is the way I would describe it. Like she knows she's going to make it. I don't know if that came from shooting 500 a day like Coach Radice said she did in a prior interview when she was a student athlete, but like she has got the shot. So,
and also was great to see kind of our returning player of the year, Maggie Dugan, was doing Maggie Dugan stuff during that practice.
Yeah, at the end, I stayed and got to talk to Coach Russell for a bit, and Maggie and Rachel's team that day, then when they got 5-on-5, Rachel and Maggie were teamed up, and that team did dominate, as you might expect it to. It's almost unfair because you have 2 elite college players, potentially WNBA players. So it doesn't matter who you match up against them. It's going to be a tough assignment. But they both were special and very confident in what they're doing.
So I think we got as advertised for our 2 stars. But Porter, there's a certain player that really caught your eye as a potential big impact player.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kept coming back to, she was everywhere on the court. She flashed over and over again. She looks different this year than she did last year, and that's Alicia Newell. She to me felt like a top 4 player on this team. Obviously, Allie Sweeney being the 4th. She plays the same position as Allie. I thought her on-ball defense was as good as anybody I saw on the team. She showed really good court vision when I watched her. She was teamed up with Rachel and Maggie, and so that's kind of easy when you have 2 players of that caliber to know you got to kick to them. But she did. She hit them in stride. She was able to create. Of course, Alicia has a great way to take it to the hoop herself. I don't think she's quite the 3-point shooter that Allie Sweeney is. But there's going to have to be some sets where I think you get Alicia and Allie matched up out there together, because they're just 2 such good players. Coach does like length, and coach is coach, and I'm not. So he'll decide obviously what's the best for the best matchup.
Coach didn't ask you.
Coach did not ask my opinion to hey, weigh in on the lineups. No, but I think that and it will come to some of the things that we still have to think about as potential concerns later. But you just have to get Alicia on the court this year, because she's just really good, as is Allie Sweeney. So
yeah, just to add to that. So I think what we saw from Alicia, number 1 was defense.
Yeah.
So her hands were on the ball constantly, and sometimes stealing from somebody one-on-one, but also kind of in help defense, kind of getting in her hands. One thing that I didn't notice, I was looking at it, and these are, what do you believe? If you look at our roster and the height measurements, she is 5'9", Allie is 5'6".
Mm-hmm.
So he actually does have some length that Allie doesn't have. Now, again, that's not a 6-footer sort of length. And looking at our schedule, we play TCU this year in the Cancun tournament, I believe, and they're a top team.
I think they finished 8th in RPI or net last year.
And they went to the Elite 8,
yeah.
I believe, last year. So I was looking at their roster and give an example. So they have their top transfer, Veronica Sheffy, came from San Diego State, was their best player. She's a 5'9" guard. So let's pretend she ends up being TCU's best player this year. We need defense at that spot to stop her or try to stop her. I can see games like that where, based on what we saw in one practice, of course,
right,
that does Newell need to be out there as much as Allie does, mainly for defense?
Well, both of them have to play.
Of course.
Allie's superpower is she's such a good passer, such good vision. Her 3-point shot is literally could be, outside of Rachel, the best on the teams. And so you're going to have to play Allie because she's special. You also have to play Alicia. She's going to be really, really good. Now, what I'll say, the good news about this segment is, the coaching staff knows what they're doing to develop these players from freshman to sophomore year. Allie took a huge leap forward as a sophomore. Alicia looks set to take a huge leap forward as a sophomore. So, we're going to become known as Point Guard U before long, because Grace Townsend before these guys. These girls are really becoming better and better by coming to Richmond and really honing in on the craft to take it to the next level. So I'm just really excited by what I saw out of Alicia, and I think she's going to be a special player for us this year.
What about the freshman, Porter? What did you notice?
So there are 2 I think that are ready to go right now. And that's not to say the 2 that I don't mention are not ready to go. It's just that these 2 looked really, really comfortable to me. The first one is Persa Shetty. She looks so confident for a freshman.
Are we sure that's the right pronunciation?
I am not sure. And, eventually, if we don't know your name, you'll make us learn your name before too long by just lighting up the Robinson Center. So apologies if I'm not getting that right. But Persa Shetty, to me, really looks super comfortable, but there are people who you get have the ability, and then there are people you get have the confidence. She's got such incredible confidence for a freshman. The way I would describe her, she reminds me of Riley Weiss from Columbia. If you watch Riley play last year, players like this just see the court in a different way. They see things before they happen, and it's almost like an easy confidence. And Riley took a huge jump between freshman and sophomore year in the system she plays in. And I think, Persichetti is going to be somebody that we all get really excited about before she's done.
Yeah, Persicchetti's a scorer. So she broke kind of all her high school records. I mean, that's where I think she's going to be on the wing, a big shooter for us. And we have another freshman who
looks ready to go.
Yeah, looks ready to go. She's got she's got a basketball name, at least for U of R's sake, because her name is Rain Wright.
Yes.
So if she does end up getting into coaching at some point, she'll be Coach Rain Wright.
Yes.
It's just odd, but she looked good out there.
Yeah, the rain feels right because she's very comfortable as a forward in this offense. She holds her own against older, probably stronger players, and that's a pretty interesting thing to see for a freshman. And she moves really, really well as well. So I think she's going to get some meaningful minutes right away for the Spiders.
One thing I pointed out to Porter that was interesting is they have some managers there who had kind of water bottles for the players. For the hour I was there, the only players that needed water were all 4 freshmen.
Yeah.
So you never saw Maggie needing water. You never saw Rachel. Never saw Samantha. You never saw the veteran players needing water. I think they know, and they've been in this system. They're used to that kind of running up and down the court. I think our freshmen, while they were here all summer, you could tell they're still
speed of the game in college is very, very fast.
Yes.
And it's going to take a lot of conditioning to get to the point where it's not a problem. There is a concern, and I think coach is on this. And again, coach is coach. He'll figure this stuff out. I have yet to see who's going to step up and play that Katie Hill defensive role. That 6 foot, can match up against any player on the perimeter. Fast, can read and react really well, can slip the screens really well. Alyssa Jimenez could do it. Katie Hill could do it. I don't know who that person's going to be yet. I did not see that person. They didn't stand out in the practice for me. I think we're hoping that Simon or Peyton we're gonna flash. They didn't look bad. It just they didn't jump out as like ready to be that person yet. So there's work to do still, and I know coaching staff is hard at work figuring out where they're going to get that defensive player. So a lady who can step up and become that lockdown perimeter defender and knows where to be and how to stay focused on the defensive side of the ball might be the person who rises to 25 minutes a game, and we just don't know who that'll be yet.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of defense coaching going on at practice. So the coaches, and some of this sounds very basic, but when it was 5-on-5 and the defenders did not have their hands up, the coach would stop and say, I need everyone's hands up. I need them moving around. Like he's pushing defense. And I know, like, I'm not going to be able to speak of the elite defensive strategy that really goes on at that team, but some of the basics too, they were just on these guys. Everyone needs to be able to play defense.
Coach likes length on the perimeter. He likes to make it difficult to pass over, players to get the hands in the lanes, have the size if there's a switch happening to match up against anybody. So, you're going to need somebody to step up.
It's going to be an exciting product. These women deserve our attention in the Robins Center. And yes, it'll sound better and the screens will be better. But the basketball, what's most important, is going to be outstanding.
If you go back to episode 1, I mean, my aspirational crazy goal of winning a national championship still is my personal goal as a fan. I want to see these Richmond Spiders win a national championship. I think that we have the coaching staff on the women's side, and not to say that we don't on the men's side, but we have it on the women's side right now that could win us a national championship within the next 5 years. These guys are excellent recruiters. These guys know how to teach players, coach development. I know they would say I'm crazy probably, but like I honestly believe we were only like 1 quarter away from beating UCLA, who was the number 1 team in the nation, at UCLA last year. And they're doing something right. We've got to just support these guys to make sure that we help them along the way, and that includes getting into the Robins Center and supporting them during the games.
Hey, and just to tie this whole episode together, Porter and I are not fooling.
Def Leppard.
That is Def Leppard.
I got you.
Okay, well, anyway, we're going to wrap things up here. Thank you guys for listening. This is Tom.
And this is Porter.
And this is Spiders sounding off.
See you next week.
We will try to be funny and entertain. Maybe you'll learn something or just complain.